What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and man, we are almost at episode 40, but not quite there yet. Episode 39 today, and we got some Guardians talk to talk over, talk. And we got some Cavs news as well. No really big updates, but seems like they're getting closer. So we could hear a Cavs head coaching news relatively soon, and then some unfortunate Browns news as well today. So Andrew, how are we feeling today? I know the Guardians just won two out of the last three uh, against Seattle at home. So, you know, solid series win for us. How are we feeling?
I mean, feeling good. The Guardians need those those two games. We need those two wins, and now we're back ahead, 6.5 games ahead of
Yeah.
Minnesota. Six, I think it's now six because I think KC just won. Kansas City just won, so now it's six ahead of Kansas City, 6.5 against Minnesota. So firmly back, regaining that divisional lead. We were down to 4.5, and now everyone in the division lost except for the Guardians, and then obviously Kansas City won today. So
Yeah.
it was a good time to retake the lead and get further ahead. And now you got Toronto again after you had Toronto last weekend, and you get Toronto again this weekend, but this time at home. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can flip the script because we went 1-2 against them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird series for them,
Yeah,
and I think it just became. It honestly comes down to who ends up starting for us in
yeah.
terms of pitching. When you got Carrasco and you got McKenzie, and guys like that, they don't give you what you need to win at least consistently. And praise Carrasco. I know the old man is trying, but unfortunately, he just doesn't really have much wind left in his sails. Like
Yeah.
he's not able to get past 5 innings. McKenzie is barely able to get past 5 innings. I know his last outing he only went like 2 1/3 or something. It was pretty bad, or 3 1/3. It was one or the other. So guys are still struggling, uh, in terms of the starting, rotation, but the Guardians are still finding ways to win. They're still scoring a lot of runs, and last two out of the three games, they've hit the ball well, and it's usually different guys every day. And today specifically, was the likes of Brennan. Brennan hit 2 home runs today. Helping us score those 6 runs. I know Jimenez, I think, as well scored one. So, just a good outing. What are you seeing out of this Guardians team that just it never seems to get old? Different guys are starting to step up every single game.
I mean, I just think it's the confidence in the coaching staff in the locker room now. I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about having Terry Francona, who had an old mindset, and we've talked so many times that we've seen the likes of Miles Straw still up here, and we'd probably be seeing Gabriel Arias having almost every day at bats, and the less use of David Fry and the less use of a lot of these other guys. And we at this point we probably wouldn't even seen Schneeman or Manzardo even close to being called up yet
Yeah.
at this point. And I think this is where the Guardians have looked the best because they're not afraid to now send people down and bring people up when people are struggling. We set down Straw and we left him down there, and our outfield has been looking great. Tyler Freeman has stepped in very well, has been hitting really well, so it's a great replacement there. And obviously Schneeman, who much like David Fry, has been playing all over the damn field. He's been playing at second, short, center, right field. He's everywhere, and those are the guys you really truly appreciate. Are guys who can play almost any single position you need them to, wherever you want them, and they're hitting the ball well. Schneeman batting 305, I think was his last batting average after today. I think he got another hit in earlier's game. So he's been hitting the ball really well. He was a great call up. Unfortunately, we saw Manzardo go down because Jose had to come back from the paternity list, but I'm sure Manzardo is going to get called up again within the next couple week or
Yeah.
two. I think they just want him to get more at bats
Yeah. I agree.
because it's hard to take away David Fry at bats at DH and
Or Naylor.
or
I mean,
Naylor.
yeah.
So you don't want to take the because now Naylor's getting hot again. He's starting to
Mhm.
swing the ball or swing the bat really well and hitting the ball really well. So the guys are coming around. I think that's the biggest success is that the hitting has definitely improved from last year. all the guys are hitting league average or above compared to last year, where all the averages were well below league average, and the only guys who had better averages were just Quan, Ramirez, and Naylor, who were the
Yeah.
only ones batting 270 to 300, and then everyone else was batting 190, barely even hitting the 200 mark. And that's the massive difference now is people hitting, and even with this pitching being so lackluster, they still find ways to score runs and get behind the pitchers and help them out a ton. And that's why we talked about, it's okay for Logan Allen to be serviceable. We don't need him to be elite. As long as he can go 6 innings and maybe give up only 2-3 runs, that's fine. That is completely fine, because as long as we continue to score 5+ runs like we have been, we can give up those 3 runs and be okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we don't need no more Carrasco's or McKenzie's giving up 7 runs in the first 2 innings of the ball game, and now we're already out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I hope that gets addressed, and we will, sort of discuss that here in a few minutes. But I do want to go over the fact that Stephen Kwan is damn near hitting 400 right now. He has a 12 or 13 game hit streak right now. I know he's batting almost 500 during this streak. And he hit a home run last night, so he is showing some power as well. But he has not missed a step since he came back off this hammy, and it just shows, man. The dude is very well prepared. I think he came in last year with a lot of expectation, and I don't know if it got to him or if it was just the coaching. I don't know what it was, but whatever Vode has sort of ignited under him, it's really done. It's done a lot for his confidence, and the dude is swinging at everything, and he's just putting himself in position to either score runs or be a runner scored later on by guys like Ramirez and Naylor. And Freeman was playing so well, especially when he was starting to lead off, but you cannot lose out on the fact that Kwan has to be the leadoff guy because of the fact that he always gets on base once or twice a game, and it's just automatic. And Freeman is still playing just fine, but you got guys like Brennan, you got guys like Fry, you got guys like Josh Naylor, Ramirez. I mean, that is 3/4 of this lineup already that I've named. And then you got Schneemann. You have guys that are just able to step up. It's beautiful. Like it really is. It's awesome to see this team just have quality guys everywhere that are able to step up and able to give us that sort of vibe switch that we need in games, and they never quit. Like even if they're down by 10 runs, they're gonna try to score 11 in the ninth. So like they're gonna do whatever they can, and so it's great. This team would feel so much better if we had some more consistent starting pitching. Now, Bybee did have an incredible game last night. He had 12 Ks, which I think is the most in his career so far, early career. So far. So it's good to see him having an outing like that where I think he actually went with 7 innings. That's what we need out of Bybee every freaking time he goes out. And that's what we need out of guys like McKenzie and even, Allen as well. Our bullpen is great, but at some point this season, we're going to deal with some bullpen issues because we're using them so heavily right now. We need to go after starting pitching. McKenzie needs to get this surgery because he has lost pretty much all of his velo, his off speed stuff. It's not really as efficient and effective as it once was. I mean, I know you've said this a few times already, so I know you agree with me here, but something's got to give with McKenzie right now.
Yeah, no, something does have to give with McKenzie, because before he was injured, he was practically a Cy Young candidate.
Yeah.
He was ripping. He was hitting high 95, 96 miles an hour in his fastball. His curveball is dropping to the floor. And for some reason now, he's lost all of his velo. His fastball doesn't even go 90. His fastball hits maybe 92 at this as hard. But the problem is when he does do that, I think his problem recently now is he's trying so hard to throw as fast as he can to make up for the lost velo. And with that, he's losing control over his pitches. He's throwing it high. He's throwing it well outside, well high, almost hitting batters. Or if he does get good command on it and he throws it 91, 92, it's right down the center of the plate, getting destroyed 450 feet. And I think he needs to take a book out of Ben Lively's page, because Ben Lively's not a hard thrower. His fastball only goes 90, but the thing is, he trusts his command on his pitches. And that's where Ben Lively has been so successful all season, is that he's like, listen, I don't throw the ball hard anymore. Like, I'm 33, 34. I don't throw hard anymore. I can hardly throw the ball 94, 95. Right. But as long as I can locate my pitches and put them in the zones where I want them to, people are going to swing and miss. And he's going to get strikeouts. If not, he's going to get a lot of ground balls and flyouts, which he does. Yeah. And I think McKenzie needs to take a step back and be like, hey, Ben, like, how do I do, like, can you, like, work with me, like, until I get my surgery? Can you work with me to locate my pitches and, make sure I can at least get more ground balls and flyouts, rather than trying to go for 92 mile an hour as hard as I can, and I'm walking every single batter. I'm struggling to, figure out how to get outs at this point, because I was at that game 2 nights ago, and he was just struggling to get anything going. And I think he's trying to make up for that loss of velocity and trying to throw as hard as he can, and it's just not going so well.
Yeah.
So I think he needs to learn to just control your pitches, throw your fastball 89. Who cares? As long as you can throw it inside off the corner of the plate, perfect. Yeah. If you can throw it outside off the corner of the plate, perfect. If you can maybe start your curveball a little bit lower than you normally do, so it drops down off the plate and people chase and swing at it, do it. You have to find ways to adjust to your basically disability right now, because we know you're not 100% healthy. We know you might be feeling a little bit of pain in that shoulder, but that doesn't mean you have to try and throw 92 and then getting the ball destroyed. Like, that's what's killing you. And Ben Lively is probably looking at, like, kid, just look at your pitches, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah. I kind of have a hot take here, and obviously he needs the surgery, but dude, at this point, I'm cool if they even use McKenzie in a trade package at this point, because I'm not sure that he's ever going to truly get it back again. I've always seen him struggle throughout his career anyway. Like, he has had great games where he has, struck out 12 guys, 10 guys, and gone, 7 innings and had good velo, but it seems like if he doesn't have his velo, he doesn't have an arm, period. And I don't know if it's up here. I don't know what it is, but in this game, it's all mental. And if he can't get it back, they should try to use him in a package to get somebody better, or at least move to make way for more guys in the, minors to be able to come up, and obviously we have guys like Gavin Williams who will come back. It sounds like it's going to be soon. I know we've been saying this for the last few weeks. He's been doing some, some work in the minor leagues. He has seemed to look good. And it sounds very, positive, which is great. And, I know we still have, Bieber, although he's going to come out, out of surgery as well. But it's like, even if McKenzie gets the surgery, and let's say he comes back next year, that's still another wasted year of McKenzie. And we've had him for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
It might be time to move on. What do you think about that? Because I don't think anybody is really discussing that part of the trade deadline.
I mean, I don't hate it, to be honest with you. Like, at this point, you're desperate for pitching. You need guys who are healthy. You need guys who can go 6-7 innings. You have 2 guys right now in Carrasco and McKenzie who can barely even go 4 innings. And it might be, like you said, it might be time to cut loose. And it sucks to say, because I think McKenzie could really be something special in the league and really be a top-tier pitcher. But you could probably, if you package him with a couple other guys, maybe from your farm system, you could definitely get a good pitching package back of maybe getting two quality starters who can come in and replace, or even if you just get one and just allow Gavin Williams, or if you call up maybe Joey Cantillo or something when he's ready to go and back and healthy, which would probably be just before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
It,
So I
it,
mean, there's options there, and like again, I know that the kid can be good. Like when he's good, he is literally a Cy Young uh, ability
type of pitcher,
player.
yeah.
But with Bybee coming in, Gavin, Williams is going to be here soon. He is going to be, I think, next to Bybee in terms of the aces. And depending on what you do with Bieber, if you decide to bring him back next year, if you decide to let go of him or trade him as well, whatever. But again, we've had 3 or 4 years of McKenzie. I don't know if we're going to get much more out of him, and he may need a change of scenery. Like,
Yeah.
I hate when that happens, when it's us having to trade, that person to, a different team, and then they do better. But sometimes guys just need that, and sometimes teams need that because of their need right now. And I think that could be an option. Does it happen? Probably not, but you never know at this point. Like the Guardians front office could really be considering that, and if so, if they get a good package for it, you got to pull the trigger and let it roll because we're ready to win now. This team is ready to go to the playoffs and actually make a run at it with how young these guys are and how good they're hitting. If we can just get our guys to come in and get us 6, 7 innings every night, we're golden because this bullpen is dynamite. I just don't want to kill them now before it's even All-Star break because you're going to end up like freaking Andrew Miller a few years ago. We ran him to the ground in 2016. We wore Kluber into the ground, and after that, they were never the same. Andrew Miller literally fell off the following year. Kluber was 2018 or 2019, I think, when he started to fall off. Sometimes you just got to learn to cut loose, and I think the Guardians have always done a pretty good job at that. I don't know if that's what they are starting to think right now, but you gotta think it's in the back of their minds in some way because it's just been a rough season for him.
So it seems like Joey Cantillo has been in AAA rehabbing. I didn't realize this.
Good.
Because he last started June 16th, so he started 4 days ago for Columbus, and he went. Let's see, he went. I think they're giving him limited because he has 2 rehab started, actually 3, because he started June 5th, June 11th, and June 16th, and he's only pitched 3 innings in each of those games.
Right.
So I think they're limiting him to at least like 3 innings in a certain amount of pitches. So they're not gonna go. So I mean, it makes sense. But in those 3 games, he has 11 total strikeouts. He's only given up 2 runs. Excuse me, 3 runs, 2 earned. Not giving up a home run. He's walked 6, but that's 2. He walked 2 in each of the games. That's where the 6 comes. So it's not like he walked all 6 in one game or anything.
Right.
And he's given up a total of 6 hits. So he's looking pretty solid in his rehab starts. I mean, what's really nice is that he had back-to-back 4 strikeouts in 3 innings. And if he could do that in the first 3 innings, and I couldn't imagine to see what he does going a full, 6 or 7. That's probably double. That's probably 8, 9 in strikeouts per game at that point.
Yeah.
So it looks like Joey Cantillo is working really well. I'm sure he's probably going to get a lot more innings coming up here relatively soon. But it seems like he's been getting 3 innings per these last 3 starts. Like I said, last start was 4 days ago, so he's probably due for another start probably tomorrow-ish or something, which is why Gavin Williams is probably pitching down in Akron, because I think Joey Cantillo is actually starting at Columbus tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
probably. Yeah.
they had to move Gavin Williams down to Akron, so that way they could both get some game time and some starts. So, but I think Gavin Williams is obviously a lot more closer. than Cantillo is. I think Cantillo is just kind of waiting it out, seeing if he can get out of this pitch restriction or innings restrictions, and they might bump him up. Who knows? Maybe next start they might bump him up to 5 innings,
Yeah.
or maybe like 60 pitches, 70 pitches, or 50, whatever, and see how he can handle it. I wonder if they actually showed the pitch count he has. It doesn't say on here. It doesn't say show his pitch count.
Yeah, it's always tough to see any sort of minor league stats for whatever freaking reason.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
yeah,
they
so I
usually
see the thing with Gavin.
they don't. They usually don't give out the. I wonder if I could probably just go to like the individual game itself, and it usually tells you the pitch count.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Joey Cantillo's looking like he's doing solid as of right now. So
Yep,
it's always
yep,
good to see.
and you were right about Gavin. So Gavin is getting ready to pitch. Sounds like on Friday, so tomorrow.
Yeah,
Um, so we'll see how much they limit him in that. I would assume he's gonna want to try to get around 5 or 6 innings, at least five, I would think. Like just to see if he can handle sort of like an 80 pitch count, load. And if he can do that, he'll be able to get up to the, 100 plus. Now, I will note, Vogt doesn't like getting his guys over like 95. Pitches per Tito. It
yeah,
was like 110, 120, a lot. Like he would let guys get out of jams at times, and Vogt just, and I think that's because Vogt was a former catcher, so he like actually understands that. But whatever it
yeah,
is, uh, yeah, we just need them to be able to go a little bit more. So you know, having those two up would be great, especially if you can eventually move Carrasco to even a bullpen role again, where he doesn't have to go a lot of innings. Because his first 2 or 3 innings, Carrasco's fine.
yeah,
Honestly, like he pitches really well to start, and then he gets rocked by inning 4 or 5 because he's just starting to lose, Vivilo and all that because he's getting older. And so if you
mhm,
can leave him in that sort of stretch where he can pitch from like the 5th to 6th inning or the 6th to 7th inning, that would be so much more helpful for the Guardians and our bullpen. So where you don't have to have guys like Gaddis go out and and pitch a full inning or use 5 fucking pitchers for one game. It's just that's what I'm worried about. So something has to give. We will see what we do with McKenzie. We will see how these guys will start to move more and more because I'm sure you're going to keep getting more and more moves just before the All-Star break, which I know is probably coming up pretty soon. I think that's in July, right?
yeah. All-Star break is like July like 17th or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Also too, I just looked up the because I went on to the ML bot or Columbus Clippers website because it usually gives like the pitch counts and stuff like that. So it is 3 starts. Cantillo's first game he threw 47 pitches.
Okay,
His second game he threw 51. And his third game, I believe, let me go back to it. I believe his final game was around like 65.
okay. So yeah, he's
So
gonna want to try to hit that like
60 it
almost
was
80
60
mark. Yeah.
it was 60 even.
Okay. So yeah, they're gonna probably get him up to like 70, 75 or 80 maybe. I don't know. They might try to stretch him or they just might say, here, let's just go 5 innings and just say, let's see what you could do in 5 innings. And depending
Mhm.
on his pitch count, they'll be like, all right, cool. He only did 80, throws, but he went 4 or 5 innings and struck out, six. That's a
Yeah.
solid out.
And I was correct. He is pitching tomorrow.
Okay.
So
So yeah,
which explains why
like Gavin's
Gavin's in
AWF.
Akron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So both of
So
our
yeah, things
injured
are gonna
pitchers.
happen soon, I think.
Well, I think what it's forcibly going to do is it's probably going to force McKenzie to get surgery. So you'll see McKenzie end up dipping out and get surgery. We might end up throwing. Well, the possibility of Carrasco going to the bullpen is extremely high because, like you said, he's a guy who could come in like after the starter. Maybe the starter goes like 5 innings or something. He could come in like the 6th and the 7th
Or
and
even
kind of just
start for like a random double header game where like we started one of our starters already, and then we just need a
bullpen guy.
Bullpen game.
Let him
You-
go
you could
two
start-
innings,
Yeah.
3 innings,
Yeah.
and just because, like you said, he does great the first like 2 to 3 innings, and then
He
after like the
does.
third inning, and he gets killed after the third inning, and it's like, brother, like how the hell how do you not stay consistent? Like it doesn't make sense. Like you were doing well these first like few innings, and now you just can't even pitch. It doesn't. I mean, I guess age has a lot to do with it. I'm sure,
Yeah,
but
I think
it's
so.
but it's very just odd that he can go the first 3 innings perfectly fine, and then next thing you know, he is already tired and he goes, you know, gets murdered the other 2 to 3 innings he's in. But I mean, it's a great, obviously it's a great heartfelt story of why he's of him being back and stuff like that. But I think you can use him as a bullpen piece and let him be serviceable out of the bullpen, and then allow McKenzie to get surgery once you get Gavin Williams and Joey Cantillo back. And who's to even say? I mean, you're probably still going to go after a legitimate starter too. So there's a chance we could even see if Logan Allen continues to struggle. We could see Logan Allen get sent down to Columbus and make room for Cantillo and Gavin Williams and maybe another big time starter.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, like Allen is good. Like looking at his record, I think he's 8-2 already this season. But
Oh,
he
yeah.
has a very high ERA. His ERA is somewhere up in like the 560 range. Yeah, 523. But he's 8-3 as a starter, which it's not like it's a bad thing. He's 8-3, so it tells you he's pitching well enough to win games.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm
So
pretty sure Allen leads our team currently in wins,
yeah,
if
because
I'm not
Bibby's
mistaken.
7-Bibby's like 7-2 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know Lively has been pretty solid for us too.
I think Lively has 6 wins.
Yeah. So I mean, we're still getting guys that are playing well, but it's just not for long enough. But
No,
again, to go back to some of the trades, obviously, you and I were talking a little bit before this. And one of the names that you threw out was Garrett Crochet.
yeah,
Obviously, I think he's probably our top guy that you would really want him. But I know there's a few other guys out there. I just pulled up this Sports Illustrated, our article, and just a few guys to name. Some of these guys are going to be pitchers, and some of these guys are going to be sort of outfielders, because it seems like that's two of the positions that are being thrown around the most for us. So Lewis Robert Jr., Garrett, Crochet, obviously, Randy Arizarena. I'm probably saying that name.
Randy Rosarina,
Yeah. Luis
Severino.
Severino, and Michael Conforto. There's a lot
Yeah,
of fucked up
Conforto.
names.
Yeah,
So yeah, a few guys to name. I think Lewis was the other. Yeah, he was the other pitcher. So right now he's currently 4-2. He's got a 3.5 ERA, so not bad at all. He has 84 innings pitched. Let's see. He has 61 Ks on the year, so he's pretty solid. But obviously, when you go for Garrett, I mean, you were saying he is probably the top guy right now. I would say
he's
in the league, or one of the top guys. I mean, he's
he's
6-6. He's got a 3.25 ERA, but he's got 124 strikeouts.
he's second in the league in strikeouts already, and
Yeah,
he's fifth in WHIP, which is absolutely ridiculous.
yeah, 0.95 for him.
So
Career
he
1.12 for.
and the best part is too, he's a lefty, which would be great to have another like big time
Yeah,
like lefty starter, and because you can mesh him and Logan Allen together as lefty starters and just let
oh
them go
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and I think that would be, this guy is definitely gonna be the one that I think would be the best candidate. This dude's also 6'6". Did not know that.
Yeah, he's basically another Andrew Miller, but a starting pitcher Andrew Miller.
And even Severino is 6'2". So
Yeah,
he's
Luis
30.
Severino. Yeah, Luis Severino pitched for the Yankees for a long time. He was one of the Yankees' best starters, and then I think he was if I remember right, he was the one for I think a year. He was suspended for a year because I think he was caught using sticky stuff, and because I think that was like a year he was going for like a Cy Young, and he ended up getting caught with like using like pine tar or something on his glove to get some stickiness on his pitches, and so he ended up getting caught with that shit.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we've also heard names like Bo Bichette, thrown
Yeah.
around. Obviously, he would be really cool. I just don't think he is much of a position need.
No,
That we
especially with Daniel Schneemann playing so well. Like I think Daniel Schneemann is more than capable of being your starting like shortstop, or even if you really wanted to, you could really just move Jimenez back over to shortstop. You can move if you want to. You can move Freeman back into second base. But to be honest, I think Freeman's been doing really well as a center fielder. And you could definitely put Schneemann at second, put Jimenez at short, and you don't have to worry about starting Gabriel Arias. You could probably just DFA him at that point and get him the hell out of here. And if you need a backup shortstop, you still have Brian Rocchio, who's actually been hitting pretty well as of late. Like his last few games, he's got a couple of hits, and he's been hitting the ball really well in the last like 5 or 6 games he's played in.
right.
But but again, like, is he going to continue that hot hitting streak, or is he going to flop again? Like he's great defensively, but
Yeah,
you
very
need a
true.
bat, and Daniel Schneemann is more of a bat than Brian Rocchio is.
And so was Manzardo and guys like that. And I think we just have enough at our farm to be able to bring up and be able to give
Yeah.
us that batting. So that's why I don't want to worry about throwing a lot of money out there for guys. But
Well,
I
that's the
just
thing.
pulled up
Like
another.
people
Go
want us
ahead.
to put it. People want us to put a trade package for like Crochet and Luis Robert from Chicago. Like, cool. Robert is a great center fielder, one of the best in the business.
We don't need that.
But we don't need that. I was like, I'd rather just get Garrett Crochet
Yeah.
and just give me the starting pitcher. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need a center fielder. We have guys who can. Like, I think Tyler Freeman, as of right now, is hitting better than Luis Robert. And Robert, like, don't get me wrong, Robert was an all star last year. But this year, he's barely hitting like 210.
Yeah.
And he's
Exactly.
been. And the thing is, he's been riddled with injuries all season and all of life. So it's like, do you really want a guy who's gonna miss a ton of games? I don't fucking want that. I'd rather have Freeman, who's gonna be playing every day and doesn't, knock on wood, get hurt much.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's just my intake. But I don't think you need to go after both. I think you can just go after Garrett Crochet and just be done with it.
And some other potential starting pitcher names that I think we could hear. I just pulled up another article. I'm assuming this is a more Guardians, you know, media source, I guess. First name they throw was Cal Quantrill, and I do not want him back, but I think that's hilarious that they threw him
Yeah,
up. Obviously we talked about Garrett, Eric Freddie on the White Sox is also another guy I'm sure you could see. He's doing pretty well as well this
yeah,
year.
Eric Petty, yeah,
Tyler Anderson from the Angels, even though he's 34, it could be a cheaper option. We've obviously saw Lewis, Kyle Gibson. I do not know this guy. He's another older guy, 36 years old, probably cheaper. Jack Flaherty, which I think we've talked about him a little bit as well.
yeah. I think
Um,
we have before.
yeah, I mean, I know he's doing pretty solid as well. He's got a low whip as well, and he's averaging 11 and a half strikeouts per 9 innings. And then you also have Michael Lorenzen from the Rangers, who I think would be another good one as well. So, again, there's plenty of names out there. There's guys that we could go trade for, but ultimately, it's just going to depend on how much we're willing to give up versus what we also want to prioritize the most. And I just feel like if the Guardians aren't prioritizing starting pitching at this point, they need to. Like they need to switch that course and get to it because
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I want to pull up MLB trade deadline for this year is going to be June 12th, right? No, that's not correct at all because that was fucking last week. Trade deadline date. That's all I want to know. July 30th. Oh, okay. So we have another month until
yeah,
trade deadline. So we still have All-Star break and then probably another week or two after that and then it'll be the deadline. So, we do have time. But it's how much time are you willing to waste with guys like Kenzie, guys like Carrasco, obviously
I
with
think
Gavin Williams and them coming up, maybe it gives them a little bit of life to say, okay, we don't have to necessarily force it, anything right now, but definitely keep your eye out for it.
all of it too is depending on Gavin Williams and Joey Cantillo. I think you're just waiting to see the availability of both of those guys, and you're just kind of waiting to see which of those guys is going to come up and do really well and whatnot. So I think they're like it's. I think for them it's okay to wait because both of them have been doing well in their rehab starts, and I think they're willing to just gamble and there's one of them coming up, just telling Mackenzie piss off, go get
Yeah.
surgery, and then once the other's ready, Cantillo's ready, whatever, you could probably bring him up for a couple weeks, let him pitch up here, then go get yourself the starter. And if you need to, you can send Cantillo back down, let him get some more reps in Columbus, and you have your starting five. And it's not a bad starting five either, because you go from a mediocre starting lineup to one of the better ones in baseball. So I,
Yeah. So
I
I
don't
mean,
think
there's
there's
still
much
a lot.
pressure. There's not
No,
much pressure.
no, and knowing this front office, they're not going to just push the trigger on anything. They're going to
No,
be a little
reserved.
reserved about it because that's how they've always been. They've never really been one to throw a lot of money at somebody or to make these very hasty trades. But I also think they're in a unique position right now. They have a 6.5 or 6 game lead in the AL Central. They have a comfortable lead right now. They're playing well. They're winning games. Guys are hitting the ball well. The team is just looking good. You need to fix whatever holes you have left to get ready for
Yeah,
this run because if you go into even a wild card game and you lose that series after having such a great year this year, the front office is going to be under some heat because they had a chance to move on from Bieber and did. They had a chance to move on from McKenzie and did. We're both stuck with these guys and we don't know what to do with them. So there's going to be some pressure. So hopefully they can sort of get these guys that are about to come up, play well, give us some more time to say, okay, what do we need left, prioritize it.
yeah.
But I do want to go ahead and move over to some Cavs talk. Because even though there's not too much news out there, there is still some rumor reels going around. It sounds like the Cavs are expected to give Donovan Mitchell a 5 year, $275 million deal, roughly around that. I think that's where it's going to be. Um, obviously that makes me feel good. I've always thought that he was going to come back, so I haven't really been too worried about that. But the Cavs are still continuing their coaching search. It sounds like it's rumored to be mainly two guys. It's either going to be Atkinson or Borrego. That seems to be the two names we've been hearing the most.
Yeah.
Out of those two guys, do you have any favorites? Out of those two guys, and how early do you expect this to be resolved?
So it's funny because I've lost it on my Twitter page, but I saw this thing on Twitter like a couple weeks ago. It was right when we fired JB, and obviously we were all talking about who could potentially be the next head coach to replace JB Bickerstaff and they showed, and I'm sure we talked about this in one of the last few episodes, and they did a side by side of Atkinson and Borrego, and it was wins based on, I think it was like wins based on development and player development, and if you looked at like each season with Atkinson coaching, it decreased every year, but with Borrego, it's like for Borrego, it slowly increased. And I think at the end, they did it by like 4 years or whatever. And it was 4 years. I think like Atkinson like lost a total of had like 11 or 10 like total losses, whereas Borrego had 12 like positive wins or whatever. So it seemed like Borrego was the better it's like it was like a long term type of thing, like how they do long term and this was like their actual like coaching stats,
Yeah.
like when they were actually like the coaches for their respective teams, and it showed that Atkinson regressed and players were actually starting to do worse as the years went on compared to Borrego, where everyone, yeah, they started off sucky, but the record got better each year and the players got better each year.
Yeah.
So for me, I looked at it as what's better for player development? What's better for Evan Mobley?
Yeah.
What's better for Darius Garland to get back to where he was? What's going to help Mitchell become one of the most elite players in the league, even though he already is? There's so much more you can still unlock out of Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
And who's a guy who can do that? And it seems like the stats are starting to show that Borrego is that type of guy. And I did hear that Mitchell has liked Borrego before.
Yeah.
So, and from Windhorst, and it seems like Sam Amico and a couple others, it seems like that Borrego is slightly leading the race over Atkinson. But others have said they're basically neck and neck right now. So I think it's definitely a difficult decision because in reality, I don't think you could go really wrong with either one. It's just which one do you see as a better for your development for players for Evan
Yeah, for your
Mobley?
current players too.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna be based on that, and I'm sure guys like Mitchell being the biggest is gonna have some say in it. Maybe Garland and Allen and Mobley will have a little bit of a say into it. But the thing I wanted to ask you was, do you think it's a great idea that they wanted to keep the core four instead of maybe releasing the two that we thought were going to be Allen and Garland?
Yeah, I mean, if you can resolve their issues, because here's the thing: when all four of those guys have played at like a high, level together, the very few times they have, they're outstanding. And this
Insane.
team is still a great team. Like I think the players are pretty much there. It's
Yeah.
just I think it was a style of play. I think it was a style of offense that uh JB consistently put out that just didn't work out for that group of guys. So maybe you're working to say, hey, we're going to bring in a guy that's going to be able to get everybody involved, that's going to be able to play to everybody's strengths and give guys a little more freedom within the offense to make plays when they have it and not play sort of within an offense. Um, it's not a bad idea. Again, in my opinion, I think Allen needs to be the odd man out. I think we can deal with Garland, uh, and Mitchell, but Allen, I don't think he necessarily needs to be here, especially with how great Mobley played in his absence. He was getting double doubles. He was scoring a lot better. He was able to play inside more, which I think he has a lot more comfortability in.
Seem more free.
Yes, like he doesn't have to force himself to necessarily be on the perimeter, and that's why you can trade Allen to New Orleans and go get yourself a Brandon Ingram, and he could be that guy that's on the outside and being able to play off ball like that. So, or you just go find a sort of stretch four guy that could make that type of play happen. But I just think having two big guys like that are trying to dominate you know, uh, the glass like that, it just doesn't work out for us. And um, again, I think when it comes to Garland, if he can just get his mental game back, I think Garland can be fine because he's able to score 30 points a night if he really tries.
Mm-hmm.
And with him and Donovan being able to do that both together, it would be like a LeBron Kyrie type of duo where the guys can just start throwing up points, and it's like, we saw it with Luka and Kyrie. They had success, so it's not like two guards can't have success, like that.
Yeah.
Seen it plenty of times. So it just depends. I think after this coaching search is done, I think it's going to depend on what the guy believes in, who the guy believes in, and what their style of offense will sort of partake. Because once that happens, I think it will start to narrow out some moves that they could make. And whether that happens or not to those guys is one thing. But again, I don't think it's a terrible idea to try to keep the core four because they're still a good squad. It's just whatever issues they had, they need to squash it and get back to business because this team is way too good to be this
And
lackluster.
I think a lot of it too was on JB. I
Yeah,
think JB was just a poor coach and a poor leader off the court that a lot of this shit arose. And I think, and it tells me that because if Donovan didn't advocate for Jared Allen to stay, then it had to be a coach. It had to be the coach that was the issue.
yeah.
Because there's no reason Donovan Mitchell would say, no, don't trade Garland and Allen because I want them here. That tells me that it wasn't the players at all. It's just telling me that JB was just horrible. And it just tells me that JB wasn't using anyone properly. He wasn't using the squad properly. So I think there's definitely room for each one of those guys to grow. And like you said, squash whatever they need to squash if there is anything to squash. But I truly believe that if you could keep this core four, and like I said, you get a guy like Borrego or Atkinson who can unlock and actually properly coach and not do what JB did, these four would have no problem whatsoever. I and like we talked about before, I think a lot of it was a lot of the issues was when Garland was out. Number one, was he afraid to get his jaw re-injured again by driving to the basket, which forced him to throw a lot of turnovers and get into a lot of shitty situations. Number two, was it because while Garland was out, that Mitchell was so used to being basically the point guard and the main ball handler, did he kind of just get sucked into it and just kind of forget about Garland a little bit and try to do things too much on his own instead of trusting his teammates more? That he felt like he had to do it on his own because that's all he had left was himself,
Yeah.
and vice versa with Garland too when Mitchell was out.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some issues in what was going on. Like you said, there's times where you can have guys like Mitchell and Allen or Garland, I mean, and have them both be the primary ball taker and ball carrier
And just kind of play off each other.
and just play off each other. And we've seen it time and time again. Most notably, the two best were probably Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
And Toronto, both of those guys were two primary ball carriers, but they learned to work together in Toronto, and it worked really well. So you gotta make sure that they each get their own. They can each do their own thing, but they can play off each other. I mean, it worked in their first year.
Yeah.
And I don't know what JB did to change that shit and to destroy it, but my goodness, like, why would you ruin that? Because Garland at that point was basically an all-star.
Yeah, he I think ruined a lot of whatever the Cavs had going, and
Yeah.
I honestly really wish that the Cavs almost didn't go on that huge win streak before the All Star break because if we had not gone on a win streak like that,
JB was
he would have
gone.
been fired before that, and we might have either an interim coach right now that's moving to a head coach, or we would probably have one by now because we would have been interviewing these guys for a month and a half or 2 months. So yeah, JB was. I think his thing was his rotations were just terrible. I think he would forget that guys don't need to play 40 fucking minutes a game and that you have a bench, that you have guys that are quality guys that can give you 20, 25, 30 minutes all off the bench and just play. Sam Merrill should have gotten way more time this year.
Should have
And
gotten
I
a lot
hope,
more minutes.
I mean, if you didn't like Garland, you could have literally said, "Fuck it, we'll put Sam Merrill at shooting guard and let Donovan be the predominant ball handler, and then let Garland come off the bench if you really want to." Like that's how good he was. And I'm not saying that they were going to do that, obviously, because when you have Donovan and Garland, you have to play them both. But Garland, his issues are all mental, and he needs to find a way to get over them and unlock whatever beast that he has inside of him. Because we all know that the kid is a cold-blooded killer. Like, the kid can shoot, he can dribble off space, he can create his own shots. he can create shots for other guys. When he is confident and he is on, there are very few people that are better than him in that moment.
Yeah.
And we just need that out of him consistently. So whatever coach you bring in, you've got to be able to instill that in him, be able to give him opportunities to also shine. I just think when it came to this playoff run, whatever Garland seemed to be going through, it was having so much of an effect on him that Mitchell probably had to literally just be like, dude, I don't know what's going on, but like I'm just gonna keep going. And I will try to find you, but if you can't get it going, I can't do much with that because we're down. We need points. It's
Yeah.
playoff ball. You can do that during the season and struggle a little bit and find your rhythm again. But when it's the playoffs, you got to be on. And if you're not, you're gonna sit the bench. And that was the thing is, JB didn't know when to take certain guys out, and he took some guys out too early. It was
Yeah.
weird. It was really, really weird. I don't understand the way that he coached this team specifically. So I just hope whoever we bring in will be able to evenly spread the ball out a little more and just really give the Cavs sort of what Vogt is doing right now with the Guardians, where he's letting these young guys shine. He's letting guys that are going to step up now get a chance to continue stepping up now. Because when you have guys that are hot, you got to keep them in. You can't have Sam Merrill hit 3 threes in a quarter and then sit him the rest of the game. You
Yeah.
know?
And you
And
can't.
JB did that so much.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can't allow these guys to go on like a hot streak of like oh man, this guy was shooting really, really well, and then as he's getting hot, you just take him out,
Yeah.
and then sit him. It's like, brother, like Dean Wade was fucking ripping shots against Boston. It's like, okay, sit the bench. Why? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Stop. Leave him in. He's ripping shots for a reason. It's like with Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris, and I think it was like game 5 of the playoffs against Boston was he dropped almost damn near like 30.
Yeah.
And then like after he was continuing to get hot, JB's like, all right, let's get you a break.
Yeah.
Why? He just made 3 threes in a row. Like keep his ass in there. Let him keep going. The fuck you mean take him out and sit him? Like it just made no sense because JB would just do the dumbest stuff at the dumbest times. And it's like, bro, if we lose, it's because of you.
Yeah.
You're the reason. It's not because of any of these other guys. It's because of you. You're just trash.
Yeah. I mean, my gripes with him. I've literally.
We've ripped him so
should've-
much.
I thought we should have got rid of him after we lost to the Hawks in what was it 2020 in the bubble or not the bubble, but it was
The
like
play-in
the
in
first play-in
21.
tournament.
Yeah, 2021. Yeah.
21. Yeah. It after that game, I was convinced that JB was not it because that's when you saw the issues with his rotations. You saw the guys that he was putting out, at the same time and going, so who do you expect to score? Who do you expect to bring the ball up? Who do you expect to be the guy in this group when you have Levert and Okoro in the same fucking lineup?
Yeah.
Levert is good, but that dude's giving you 10 points most nights. He has the potential to score 30, 40 points. I mean, Levert and Donovan went off last year for 40 points each early in the season, and it was fun. But you just don't need that out of him. I almost feel like the Cavs should try to trade him and see what you can get out of him. I mean, I don't know. All I know is things have to change in some capacity besides the coach, because I don't think the coach was the only issue, but JB was a really good start at getting rid of, for sure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, just to be completely fair, like I will always thank JB for his time here because there was good moments, obviously, for sure. But I think it was 5 years too long.
Yeah,
It was
too long.
It was 5 years too long. I think the first 3 were decent, but after last year, he should have been gone after last season.
honestly, as soon as we got Donnie, I think that
That should have
been
changed.
Hey, you should have.
You should
Yeah,
have been gone at that point.
Because if
there's no
JB goes to because like if JB goes to Detroit,
Detroit.
like it sounds like he might, I think that's a better fit for him because he
Well, that's the
has
thing. Like, I think he needs to go to a younger team.
yeah
Well, not like a younger team because the Cavs are a young team as is already, but he needs to go to a team that needs the help,
yeah
that needs guidance. And don't get me wrong, JB can give those guys guidance and probably make them solid. But he for a playoff caliber team, a team that I could kind of say has a championship caliber roster,
yeah
you need a more championship quality coach,
yeah
not a guy like JB who treats the second round of the playoffs like it's the play-in tournament or the play-in or the mid-season tournament. Like, I could care less about that. Like, dude, this is a massive game. We need to be competitive, and don't get me wrong, the Cavs, yeah, we're shorthanded against Boston, but you know,
and that doesn't help for
it
sure.
doesn't help. But your shit coaching style also doesn't help because there's some games where we were really close, and then towards the end they just started blowing us out because JB made some dumb decisions. Like, we were in all of those games, and if I tell you what, if we did have a full strength roster, we had Allen and Mitchell, I think it's a completely different series. I think we're probably the only teams who could probably handle the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean
And
at full capacity, absolutely.
because what it seemed like is like we could have beaten Dallas in the finals
Yeah,
and decimated them.
because all you had to do was really shut down Luca, and Luca was beat up, but also he was a cone on defense. Like the dude was not
Yeah.
moving. He was not playing well.
I think
So,
I
like,
think they said he was also playing with like a bruised ribs,
yeah, that's what I heard too.
but he was actually playing on like jaw and like no disrespect to jaw obviously because when people have bruised ribs, it
Shit
affects
hurts.
it affects people differently. Like for Jared Allen, he couldn't breathe a lot. Like he was having a hard time sleeping. He couldn't breathe. He was staying awake all night. So, and again, that's probably like a guy like me. He might have asthma. He might be an asthmatic. So, with us asthmatics, if we get punched in the chest, we're not gonna breathe. It's not gonna feel good.
Yeah,
And I would go to bed tonight, and I'd be sitting there wheezing. No matter if I took my nebulizer, my inhaler, whatever, I'd be sitting there
yeah.
like dying of breath. And maybe Luca's not like that. Maybe he's a little bit tougher, but it definitely hinders your play a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we saw that Ja could barely even raise his like arms up. It's like like it's gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah.
But again, it's like could have Allen stuck it out for maybe a game just to see? Sure, give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, you should
Give it a
wish
run.
you tried. Yeah.
There's no I was gonna say high risk, but then again, it's like, well, he could drive to the basket and get fucking punched in the ribs, and then and then he would for sure have broken ribs and then be out for.
Yeah.
But what's there to lose? That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
What's there to really lose besides again getting decked in the
Yeah,
fucking
serious.
ribs?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But I mean, if to make one last point about the coaching staff too, um, I think I can use this example when the Browns decided to move on from Joe Woods and hire, who we have now, Jim Schwartz. He made the biggest impact and he solved every issue I think that we had on defense, and because of that it made us a top 5 defense in the entire league, if not a top 3 defense in the entire league for a majority of the season. When you can make a move like that to, yeah, your team is going to win 50 games this year, but they're not going to really make a run because they're so limited. Sometimes a coaching switch like that, even as a head coach, is what's needed. And so I'm glad the Cavs decided to finally make that move. So hopefully whoever they bring in is going to be the guy that makes that difference and sort of unlocks whatever was hindering the Cavs originally.
yeah, I completely agree. I think, and this is what happens to a lot of teams where they make a coaching change. They don't change anything besides the coach,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, they do 10 times better. And that's all you needed was just a coaching change. Look at the Guardians, same roster, same everything. Coaching change, one of the best teams in baseball.
Literally.
Even with pitching injuries and guys consistently going up and down from the minors to the bigs, like it's still basically the same exact roster. Nothing changed. All that happened was you got Stephen Vogt, and for some reason, you've already surpassed as many wins as you had for half of last year.
Yeah.
And it's just wild because I never expected it, and I saw this before we logged on. The Guardians are 3 games out from being the best team in the American League.
Yeah.
Behind New York and Baltimore.
It's just nuts
And
because we have
Baltimore
probably
decimated the Yankees too.
and we have like maybe a quarter of the salary cap usage that either of those teams are using, especially New York.
I think we're second to last or third to bottom.
Yeah, we're
because
like I think
bottom
we're
is
under.
Oakland.
Yeah, I think we're under 100 mil. I think
We are at. That's actually good.
it's either 90 or it's like 120. It's something low. I know that.
Let's see. Trying to find it. MLB. I'll just look up like MLB salary rankings. So the Guardians are 26th out of 30 teams. The last few are Baltimore at 25, Cleveland at 26, Miami at 27, Tampa Bay at 28, Pittsburgh at 29, and Oakland at 30. The Guardians, for the basically what I want to say is maybe the first time, have touched $100 million. We are at $100,205,943.
So yeah, just a slight bit over 100 mil. So yeah, I mean that's insane. That's insane to think about. So it just proves that a simple coaching change can make a difference. And Tito was great for many years, but his time was running out.
But
and that's what happened with JB.
That's the total payroll, by the way. Going off of the active 26 man, we are 27th with 58 million.
The majority of that is probably Jose and Jimenez.
Yeah, because then the next teams are again Miami with 55, Colorado with 54, and then Oakland with just under 30.
Miami doesn't make sense because Miami has the ability to pay guys. It's just guys don't want to go there because they've never been a good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Guys just don't want to play there.
Which is wild because the Miami market is something nuts out there. Like that's a whole different level of money out there.
Now, what's even crazier? The Guardians are the youngest team in the MLB.
Yeah.
27 years old. We are the youngest team. I'm 28. I'm older than the fucking team.
Yeah. I'd be insane. I mean, I turned 29 in September, so.
Exactly. It's fucking ridiculous, by the way. Like, because then again, Miami's 28 and 26. 27.9 is Detroit. 27.9 again is Oakland. 27.3 is Milwaukee, and then we are at 27 flat.
Insane.
And we're the third best team in baseball.
Which is bizarre. We're just great so far. I mean, it's been fun, and like it's nice when Guardians ball is doing well because it just keeps Cleveland around this time of the year a really fun place to be at. Like, truly.
And what's even funnier is I think our manager's still younger than our starting pitcher in Carlos Carrasco.
Probably.
Which is
because he just retired 2 years ago.
Which is so sad because I think again before we close out, I want to look this up. Stephen Vogt. I want to say he just turned like something like 38. He's 39.
Carrasco, I think, is around like 36 or 37, maybe.
No, I think Carlos Carrasco is actually 38. God. Oh, he just turned 37 in March.
Okay.
So that's so crazy that our manager is about the same age as Carlos Carrasco. That
is pretty nuts. That's funny.
That's bizarre. Like, could you imagine being the same age as like your manager, like your head coach? Like, bro, like what the? I'm not listening to you.
Right. But yeah, so before we get off tonight, I do want to also talk just a tiny bit about the Browns because there was some unfortunate news today. Not really like a player that is like a factor of losing today, but
No.
we released former DN Lonnie Phelps today after a recent DUI incident out in
Yep.
Key West. He crashed his car into the side of a restaurant. Thankfully, the back patio or the front patio out there was closed. Otherwise, that could have been a very nasty thing that happened.
Very deadly.
So fortunately, no one got hurt, but um, it just sounds like the Browns are just like, yeah, we're not putting up with that. You're gone. Bye bye. Because like he wasn't really a factor. He wasn't going to be a guy that was probably going to even make a backup spot for this team. So eh, his loss,
Yeah.
stupid thing to do. I mean, anytime you have the ability to play any sort of pro sports and then you throw it away for something stupid like that, um, I just never understand it. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't either. Like, it's the same situations that we saw with what's his name that was from the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Um, oh, Henry Ruggs, where he was in Vegas, whatever, and he was going like 130 miles an hour and crashed his fucking vehicle and killed a woman and like you're making millions playing the game that you love. You're telling me you can't afford a fucking Uber?
Can't afford Uber.
Dude, you're worth like 3 mil. An Uber to your house is probably gonna cost you like $30.
Yeah. What the hell
Like
are you
you,
doing?
and you probably spent 5,000 at the club with on drinks and shit. Like you can't spend $30 just to go home.
And guess what? That DUI, ten to $20,000 is well out of your
Yeah,
pocket. Plus,
and
you got to
guess
do
what?
classes, probation, all that other shit.
And guess what? You just lost your job too.
Yeah, you lost your job, so now whatever guaranteed money you had is gone.
Yeah,
You don't have anything guaranteed.
even
I
if
would assumed,
even
but
even if you're on the practice squad players make 650 grand a year.
yeah, they still make disgusting money. So like, again, just a dumb thing by him. But again, I like that the Browns didn't waste much time in it. Said, you know what?
Yeah,
We're not putting up with this BS. We have everything going well for us right now. We have a good culture going around. There's no need to keep
yeah,
going.
and I'm sure that's been spread around the locker room. Like, listen, that we're not
Isn't gonna
handling
be
that.
tolerated. Yeah,
Even if you just got a simple pulled over for a DUI arrest, you can get off our fucking team.
yeah,
Like, we're not gonna deal with guys getting drunk, getting arrested.
being
Instead,
stupid.
call your fucking teammate to pick you up and take you home. Call an
Yeah,
Uber.
yeah.
Call your father or your mother if there's someone living nearby. Like, you tell me you can't like I would if I was Stefanski and Barry and all them, I'm in the locker room. You're telling me you guys are fucking millionaires and you can't afford a fucking Uber?
Right.
Like
Idiots.
like an Uber will take you 10 minutes to get home, 20 minutes to get home, and you're gonna spend $50. Like, come on, boys. Like, let's get our shit together. You don't need to drive your fancy ass Lamborghini Murcielago or whatever and Murcielago and fucking go crazy and crash your car into a building. Or your fucking Cadillac Escalade and crash into a fucking another person almost and kill them basically.
Yeah.
Like, what's the purpose of that?
So yeah, it baffles my mind that people in 2024 with all of the access to Ubers, to Lyfts, to taxis, whatever, like even at that point, like when guys have enough money, guys are smart and just say, you know what, like LeBron, he just has a sprinter van that just runs him around everywhere. He'll rarely drive unless he just wants to drive and
Yeah,
like is available to drive. Other than
that
that, he knows.
he's got that nice Mercedes van that and a
Yeah,
driver. Like, you're telling me you can't just get one of those and just ride around town and
especially if you get yourself a personal chef, you need a personal driver. At this point,
yeah,
if that's where you're at in life, get yourself your own driver.
especially
What are you doing?
especially the guys who are making like Patrick Mahomes money and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
Garrett,
you're
like
telling me
Deshaun Watson money. Like, yeah, you should
you're
be
telling
driving.
me you can afford a private chef and all these three houses worth 2 million each, and
Yeah,
but you're telling me you can't afford a fucking Uber or a Lyft driver, or you're telling me you can't fucking get your own private driver to take you places. Like, it's getting insane, man. I'm tired of seeing guys like Henry Ruggs killing people, killing a person while he's under the influence, or crashing into a building. Luckily, like you said, there's nobody in the back patio. Otherwise, that could have been super fatal.
Well, and I mean, it's not even that these guys don't have the money to. I think these guys just think they're just
Better.
sometimes above the law because of their status, and that's just
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake just got a DUI recently, I think, or he got some sort of he got arrested for something. I don't know what it was, but it was
Yeah.
some sort of drunken instance. So like that man, everybody knows JT. So you're not above the law. Like you're not
And he's-
above anything.
And he's worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Dude's probably close to a billionaire at this point.
I'm looking up his net worth right now just to see what it is. Talking about the. It's funny because it's talking about the fucking drunk driving. As of right now, a lot of it's saying 250, 300 mil.
Okay, so still a quarter billion he's
Yeah.
worth.
And you're telling me
He's
you can't
been in
afford a private
movies. He's been a
musician?
musician forever.
You're telling me you can't afford a private driver,
Fucking idiots, man.
or you can't
I'll never
ask
say that.
or you can't ask Jessica Biel, your wife, or whatever, to come fucking pick you up.
Shit, dude, call your fucking dad at that point. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, be an adult. Come on, dude. This isn't the 1980s anymore. You don't have to drive home drunk. Like,
Our grandparents
we
tell
have-
stories. Back in
yeah.
1972, I was driving home drunk every goddamn day. And I was 15 years old.
right. You're like, Grandpa, it's 2024. We can't do that anymore. Like,
There's more people in the world. We can't just go out committing vehicular
Yeah.
manslaughter on a nightly basis like you could.
it's just, it's wild to me. So, I mean, unfortunate news for him. Even in the Browns, but again, it's not a huge loss or anything. I don't think he was going to really fight for a true roster spot. So, sucks to suck, I guess. I mean, I don't know what else to really say. I mean, I know that sounds kind of harsh, but when you play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes, and that's what I always say. And so when I hear people do something like that, I'm like, you built your own karma. Like you made
Yeah.
your own bed. Now you get to lay in it, and this is the result.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the result.
So, yeah, I don't really have anything else much to say. Blah, blah, blah. It's been a long hour and 12 minutes, but yeah, next week is going to be episode 40, dude. How you feeling about that?
Dude, 40 episodes, dude. We've been grinding, and it's just to think it's almost been
We're grinding.
It's almost been a full-fledged year since we've done this.
I know it
It's coming
has.
up.
It has, yeah. I mean, I think we started like week 1 or week 2 of Browns the last year, so obviously that'll be great.
I kind of want to look that up just to see like when the start date was. Go to the YouTube channel and kind of check it out, what the exact date is, so we can have like a little celebratory type of thing.
Oh yeah.
It was. Well, it says-
9 months ago.
But let's see what the
Date was
September 15th.
September 15th, 2 days after my birthday.
2 days after your birthday.
I was still at my mom's house at this time. You had just gotten into your new apartment.
Just
I
got into my new
just
apartment.
got into it. And how times have changed.
I was literally a month into my new apartment.
Yeah. And now I've been
Wow.
at mine since October, and God, I cannot wait to get out of this freaking apartment. So I don't know if you guys can hear my AC unit that's like 5 feet away from my mic, if that, but it currently says it's 9 degrees in here. Feels like it's like 80 plus because of the humidity. And when I'm not having to use my mic for anything, I have my fan on absolute full blast just to try to cool it down. So this place not having AC, it sucks. I can't lie to you,
It's nice and 72 in my apartment, set to the point.
dude. I
It's
went
so
to my
nice.
mom's yesterday to go do some laundry, and it was like 68, and I was like, this is where I need to be.
This
Like,
is heaven.
It's
This is
like
heaven.
this is where I need to be, because like when I even when I lived at my dad's house, like when he has the AC on, it's at like 65 or 66. He doesn't fuck around. Like if
He's
it's
at
on,
this
it's
cold.
on. Especially at night, like he wants the house to be at like cool 65 degrees. And I mean, I have this the lowest it can possibly go, which is 61, and it's not doing anything because it's just not big enough to cool down the entire room. But it is a significant difference between being in here and being on the other side of my door. So, I mean, I've just been camping in here the whole day. It's been awful. This heat in Ohio has been some of the worst heat I can think of since high school. Really,
And then
and
you
I
get.
haven't.
Did you hear about the English people in England complaining about it being 26 degrees Celsius, which is like 77 degrees? They're like, the heat wave is coming in England,
Yeah,
and
it's like
and
a
a lot of
deal.
the English people are like, well, we don't have ACs. I was like, brother, like it's funny like listening to people from the south. Like, brother, I live in Central Florida with no AC. It's 99 degrees right now. I'm baking. This is not. That's nothing. That's a nice spring afternoon.
Literally, like that's perfect weather for me. And
No, yeah.
in my current my current job right now, I gotta work out outside, so it's hot. It's hot and it sucks. So
It's even
uh,
90 in Ohio, which obviously is like it's not rare. Obviously, it happens all the time,
but it
but
doesn't happen too often. And
it's
whenever I do a route in Columbus, it's more like 95. So it's been nasty.
yeah,
It's gross.
absolutely.
It sucks. It's like being in Florida. All right, guys. Well, that is gonna do it for us. I know we yapped there for the last few minutes, but yeah, episode 40 next week. Look out.
Let's go.
Hopefully we will have some Cavs news about the head coach.
Yeah,
And then obviously we'll see the Guardians continue to roll, and who knows, we might even hear some Browns news or some more contracts in the NBA, which I think is going to also happen here soon. So
yeah.
stick around for that. See you guys next week.